The case of Wynter Cole Smith, a name that should have been associated with the innocence and joy of childhood, is instead etched in the memory as a symbol of unimaginable brutality, a stark and heartbreaking reminder of the vulnerability of children and the devastating consequences of domestic violence. The abduction and murder of the 2-year-old girl from Lansing, Michigan in July 2023 unfolded with a terrifying swiftness, a nightmare scenario that gripped the nation and left a community reeling in shock and grief. While the perpetrator, Rashad Trice, was quickly apprehended and charged, the full horror of the crime, the agonizing search for Wynter, and the ultimate discovery of her body in a desolate Detroit alley create a narrative that is both profoundly disturbing and deeply tragic. This isn't just a story of a crime, it's a story of innocence lost, of a life brutally extinguished before it had a chance to truly blossom, and of the enduring pain that ripples outwards from such a senseless act of violence. The events of that July night in Lansing began with a scene of domestic terror. Wynter's mother was brutally attacked, stabbed multiple times by her ex-boyfriend, Rashad Trice, a man who should have been a protector, not a perpetrator of violence. This act of aggression in itself is horrific, but it was immediately followed by another, even more unthinkable act: the abduction of 2-year-old Wynter. In the chaos and terror of that moment, a child, a helpless and innocent being, was snatched from her home, her life irrevocably altered in an instant. The image of a toddler being taken from the safety of her surroundings by a man who had just committed a violent assault on her mother is a chilling tableau of vulnerability and fear. An Amber Alert, a system designed to mobilize the public and law enforcement in the search for abducted children, was immediately issued, its urgent message spreading across Michigan and neighboring states. The alert signaled the gravity of the situation, the imminent danger that Wynter faced. A multi-state search began, a desperate race against time to find the little girl before it was too late. The public responded with an outpouring of concern and support, sharing Wynter's picture, offering prayers and hoping for a miracle. The agonizing wait for news, the hours ticking by with no sign of Wynter, created a palpable sense of dread, a collective holding of breath as the nation watched and waited. Trice was eventually apprehended in St. Clair Shores, a suburb of Detroit, a significant distance from Lansing. The arrest brought a sense of relief, but that relief was quickly shattered by the devastating realization that Wynter was not with him. The hope that she would be found safe, that she would be reunited with her family, began to dwindle, replaced by a growing, gnawing fear that the worst had happened. The focus of the search shifted, intensified, becoming a desperate hunt for any trace of the missing child, a search fueled by a mixture of hope and dread. The discovery of Wynter's body days later in an alley in Detroit, a desolate, forgotten place, marked the tragic end to the search and the beginning of a new, even more painful chapter in the story. The image of a 2-year-old child abandoned in such a location is profoundly disturbing, a stark symbol of the brutality and senselessness of the crime. The location itself, an alley, a place associated with urban decay and hidden dangers, adds another layer of horror to the narrative. It's a place where a child should never be, a place that speaks of neglect, of violence, of a life tragically cut short. While Rashad Trice was swiftly charged with kidnapping and murder, bringing a measure of accountability and a step towards justice, the case of Wynter Cole Smith is far from closed, in an emotional and even a legal sense. Many details about the exact circumstances of Wynter's death, the precise timeline of events between the abduction and the discovery of her body, and the full extent of Trice's actions remain unclear or have not been publicly released. The motive, The why behind this horrific crime remains a haunting, unanswered question. What could possibly drive a man to attack the mother of his child and then abduct and murder an innocent 2-year-old? The senselessness of the act, the sheer brutality of it, defies comprehension, leaving a void that is filled with grief, anger, and a profound sense of injustice. The Wynter Cole Smith case is a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of children, the devastating consequences of domestic violence, and the enduring pain that ripples outwards from such a senseless act of brutality. It's a story that will forever be etched in the memories of those who followed it, a testament to the enduring power of evil and the unwavering need for justice. The image of a 2-year-old girl snatched from her home, her life tragically cut short, will continue to haunt the collective consciousness, a symbol of innocence lost, and a call for greater protection for the most vulnerable members of our society. The case is a stark reminder that evil can exist anywhere, and that the fight to protect children from violence must be constant and unwavering. The silence surrounding some of the details only amplifies the horror, leaving a lingering sense of unease and the enduring question of how such a tragedy could have been prevented.